Hello fellow Africans, my name is Kabelo Lioness and we are seated here today for another episode, which is episode 11, Creating a Better Africa. And well, I am honored to be seated with my beautiful sister, and I'm gonna say how we actually met, but I think the anointing had it in it, you know. She's a presenter, she's a musician, she's a midwife, and her name is Helen Vocal. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Thanks for hosting me.
Thank you for honoring the invite.
It's a pleasure.
But can you talk a little more about how we met?
Quite interesting, eh?
Quite interesting.
Yeah.
I was there, I was not on makeup, I did only lashes, but I see you with makeup out of blue when I did maybe. How did you feel about that? Like, didn't you feel like a stranger? She wants me to do makeup.
No, actually, I love doing makeup. Like, I love doing people, like making sure that everybody looks good. You know, as ladies, we must fix each other's crowns. Yes, I love doing that. So that lady I was doing her makeup is my colleague, actually. So she loves makeup, and she was like, "I'm attending that event, and can you please come and do my makeup?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool, sure, I'll do your makeup." And those were my things. She didn't have any makeup.
Because I also didn't have anything. Like, I was just a stranger. Like, "Hi sis, can you do this for me?" Because one thing about me, I love talking. Oh, I can talk.
That's what I realized. You are an extrovert and bubbly person, so a person can easily connect to you.
Yeah, that's fine, guys. That's how we met at an event. You know, some connections, you can't deny them, you know. So would you write, if you were to write on a napkin, how would you say who Helen Vocal is?
Well, I think maybe I should start on my family background.
Okay.
You know, because everywhere you go, people want to know who's Helen, where does she come from, where did you grow up, and all that. So I'm Helen born Lokhotwani. Vocal is the brand name. So I'm Helen Lokhotwani. Basically, I'm the 10th child at home. I'm a mother of 2. I'm a midwife, like you said. So I grew up from a Christian background, Assemblies of God. You see, I don't have earrings because Assemblies, the old Assemblies, they were very strict.
I know that.
Like no pants, no earrings, no paintings, you know, and
allowed
all that.
to cut your hair?
Yeah. Cutting of the head wasn't an issue, but the issue was like decorating yourself. And my father, I remember, he will read us this verse that you must not decorate yourself.
Isn't that Leviticus?
Yeah, you know it. So, and then that's how we grew. But growing up, we tend to find that Christianity is not about how you look physically, but it's about the inner. It's about also the inner person, the inner being. Who are you? How are you relating to other people? How are you treating other people? That is Christianity for me. For me, Christianity is not what I'm wearing a long dress and then, but I'm a sinner, the worst sinner ever.
What you're saying is very true, because even in the Bible, He's looking for the heart of man.
That's what God is saying.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the heart, a pure heart. If
pure
your heart is not pure and your hands are not clean, so yeah, basically, in short, that's who I am.
And then, how did you come up with your brand name? I know vocal is singing, probably, but
I used to be Helen M when I recorded my very first album. I divorced, so the M was from the same name where I was married. And then, you know, other divorces are nasty, others are clean, so mine was a very nasty one. Leave my surname alone, hey. And then I went like, okay, fine, so now I need to rebrand. Then I said, okay, let me be Helen Vocal, like the voice. So I'm Helen Vocal with a K, not a C. So that's where it comes from. When I decided to rebrand. And the other thing with the M, I remember there was an event here in Polokwane where my name was used. My songs were played on Tobela FM. I'm not scared to say it because I confronted them. I even went to the MEC of Sports, Arts and Culture and I said, what is this? I drove all the way from Welcome. And then they went like, no, you guys, the MM, how can you exploit the soil? Then what are you expecting other people to do to me? If I am Wanawa Mubu, Walimbopo, then you exploit me. You understand? So I just those are the second reason why I had to shy away from the M, because the person was like, no, I wanted to say whom M, but you were not playing whom M songs. You were playing Helen M songs. So come on, let's face reality.
Okay, I think we're gonna talk about something that you mentioned. I'm gonna reserve a day where we can talk about it. You actually told me before we could actually be here, but I was like, how can I put it to question? I was like, no, let me not confuse the audience and let me talk about you being a midwife. And,
all right.
You know, and a vocal. So like there's you being a mom, you being a vocalist, you being a midwife. Which one comes first before I ask you? As in mom, vocal, midwife, or?
Vocal comes first because I realized that God gave me the talent at a very young age.
Sure.
You know, Assemblies of God, we have Sunday school moves.
Yeah.
So I went to Sunday school and I was singing. I remember the other day the choir was practicing, old people, youth, you know, and I'm this young naive girl, Sunday school, you understand. So I was in church and then the lady that was leading the song, she was struggling and I went like, I can do it, and they were like, who's this one? So I led the song and it just flew. It was beautiful and they were like, no, you must join us every Saturday when we are rehearsing. So on Sunday then they said, today we are led by Helen, and then the church members were like, I sang, girl.
So I take it it's a singer, then it's
being a mom, yeah, that one, yeah, and being a midwife.
So amid the three, how do you show up equally? Like how do you understand the assignment of being a mom in that moment, of being a singer, and like how do you show up equally?
Okay, firstly, every time when I'm off, when I'm not on any singing things or when I'm not at work, I make sure that I give my kids quality time. Quality time meaning if I have to take them out for fun world, I take them out. If I have to take them out for ice cream, walking together, I make sure that I always spend time with my kids, especially my son. He's almost 8, he's turning 8 on the 24th of this month. So every time I make sure that when I'm home, I'm with him, we talk, you know. I asked him, what is it that you, like, how do you feel? Who do you miss? Because most of the time, he does not have any contact with his father under certain reasons that I'm not going to mention. So I always want to make sure that he doesn't want to
he doesn't feel the void.
Yeah, I will ask him, who do you miss? And he will go like, you. I'm like, my boy, I'm here. Then he'll be like, no, mommy, when you're at work, I do miss you. And I said, okay, now I'm here. Who else do you miss? Okay, sometimes he'll say the brother. He has a half brother, which was my stepson. Then when I was married, then I will contact. They do WhatsApp video calls. They are in communication, of which I loved it. I loved it. So yeah, always making sure that my son feels my presence, you know, even on his school stuff, even when I'm going to work, because I'm working night shift. 4 o'clock when I wake up and he's back from school, then I ask him, what did you do today at school? Write everything down. He will write those that he remembers, and then I will check, correct here and there. So even at school, his teachers always say, Kalo is a brilliant child, because I make sure that I always follow up on the work that he did at school. So I make sure that the work of today, he knows it by tomorrow.
Okay, then I want to talk about the CD and the DVD recording that was recent. I couldn't show up, but I was really looking forward to seeing you. You remember I even told you. We did, you know, but something just came up, and I just want to say, on screen, congratulations.
Thank you.
And then it's Grace Kept Me.
Yeah,
there a
Grace
testimony
kept me
behind that?
Ooh, a lot of testimonies. Wow, why the concept Grace Kept Me? You know, I've been as young as I am. Sometimes when I talk, people will go like, "Ooh, Helen, you can write a book," of which it's in the pipeline. Out Alive, it's in the pipeline.
That, guys. You heard that.
It's in the pipeline. So, you know, when you are a young person and you have this thing that, you know what, you envy married people, you see them happy at the malls and what, and then you meet this guy who's just so into like, I want a family life, I want a family setup, and you fall for that. Starting to work as fresh as you are, then like you just excited about everything. But I missed everything. Like I went through a very rough patch whereby I had suicidal thoughts. I've been depressed, but I thank God that I managed to beat that, to beat depression, and my suicidal thought, they never came into action. Like it was just that thing that maybe I could just die.
It was an attack, probably.
Yeah. So I managed, you know, I managed to go through that, and I passed that stage, and I was like, God, thank you for keeping me safe.
Sure.
It's not,
you know, I think there's a scripture that said, or I don't know, it's in as Christian to say, I have a new song. Like God will give you something to step on or to rely on.
Yeah.
Like that's what you said, grace kept me, because you know what it took you.
I understood. Yeah, I understood where it took me. I remember on my first album, I wrote a song, I'm alive in Jesus Christ. Now I am redeemed. He's the reason why I live. He's the great I am.
Wow.
You understand? So it also like added to that thing to say, keep going, girl. You got this.
God
you know.
got you.
And having my son Hlulo, I named him Hlulo because I had what we call severe hyperemesis gravidarum when I was pregnant.
Hlulo, is it conquering? Like, is it
victory? Yeah.
Sure.
So with him being there every day, looking at him, then I went like, oh my boy, I can't afford to leave you in this cruel world. Who's gonna mother you? Then those are the things that kept me. And then from me being a student far away, like I studied in the Free State, my 4-year course of nursing, and there are a lot of things that I've been through, and that is why I said on my second live DVD that grace kept me,
which makes a total 100% sense. And you know, I feel like if we continue to have testimonies, it really shows that God is indeed for us. God is indeed, you know.
He's for us.
And then what was the exquisite moment for you? For me, I'm gonna share first. I was not there, but I saw it online. I was like, oh.
Okay.
There was a moment where you went down the stage, you descended the stage, and you held. Are they your parents?
They are my parents.
You held them. Like that moment for me, there was a certain shift that I saw online. I was not there, okay, but you really were in the moment. Man.
It has always been the prayer of my heart, as old as they are. My father, he's 84, my mom 81. So it has always been the prayer of my heart that one day they should see me doing this live. You understand? Not seeing me on TV, because I remember every time when there will be, I will tell them that, oh, I'm gonna be on one gospel special and what, then they will make sure that my parents are seeing that. And then it has always been the prayer of my heart that I want them to see me doing this live.
Yeah.
You understand? So I spoke about a hymn, my father's song. So every time when we get home, before you even say, let me drink water, after you've just put your bags down, my father will sing that song. It's time to pray. He's thanking God for protecting you through all the way, wherever you're from, and until you are home. So we'll sing the song and we make a prayer. Even when you are leaving, same song.
No.
So hence I said, this is my father's song. And when I was saying that song, something just moved in me to say, yeah, go dad. So I did. I went down, I held my dad singing, and then I hugged him. Then I held my mom, and then I hugged her, and then I went back to stage.
Most of who were capturing the moment.
Yeah, people were crazy. They were like, oh no, we've never seen anything like this.
So that was my favorite moment. What was your favorite moment about the recording?
The same, actually. The same, but the other one, it was there's this Nigerian song that I'm singing. Okay. I introduced it firstly at my church, Calvary City in Polokwane. Okay. So when I was singing that song, like it was crazy because everybody just arose and they were like crazy and were like, what? You know, when I started saying Aka Akaya Aka Giovanni Mema, like everybody were like, all right, what is this now? So it brought that thing, and also my band, they were on the mood, like everything was just together. So yeah, that was my second moment where I was like, oh, okay. So what evokes your zeal for music? Are you called? I am called, definitely called. Why I am saying this, when I was studying my 4-year course, actually we will be in class and then we also go in hospitals for practicals. So when I was in hospital for practicals the other day, I was in the ward and then we had morning prayers. And then I was singing, you know, every morning you will sing, and I was singing. So there was this old man who always refused to get off bed. He was like, I can't walk. What? I need somebody to hold me. And he was big. So I was singing. And then after I sang, we prayed. After praying, then we had a voice of this old man coming. He got himself off bed. He walked towards the nurse's station.
Okay.
And then he said, where is that angel that was singing? Then they said, no, there was no angel. Then he was like, no, there was an angel. Look.
He had what he had.
Yeah, I can walk. Where is that angel? And then they said, no, the lady who was singing is this one. Then he said to me, girl, the world is waiting for that voice. Do not ever stop what you're doing. And I never stopped. Till today, even when I'm doing a delivery, a woman, she's in labor, and then I start singing, she'll go like, if I stop, she'll go, sister, no, I was concentrating on your voice, please sing. And I will continue singing. So a lot of people will testify saying, oh, you know, I was listening to your music and I was so depressed and I was having suicidal thought. Thank you for being a blessing in my life. Thank you for this, thank you for that. And then that's when I said, God, give me the strength to continue.
No, that's beautiful. And in fact, that was more like a stranger or someone who heard your voice and like, who was the angel? I think that was a deeper confirmation that this is your field. And you ascended on stage with Kaya Mteto. But I want to talk about that after the break. You know what I'm this? She's our star, this one, guys. See you after the break. Welcome back to Creating a Better Africa, episode 11. I'm still seated with our anointed singer, our presenter, and midwife. So when we were going to the break, I spoke something about Kaya Mteto. You shared a stage with Kaya Mteto. How was the moment, and have you always envisioned it, or was there an occasion about the moment?
Well, yeah, we were shooting Gospel Avenue, if you know Gospel Avenue.
I think I remember.
Yeah, because he's a presenter.
Gospel, is it replaced by one gospel, or it's just something
No,
new?
it's just something different, because mostly Gospel Avenue, it plays on SABC 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was called. I was just relaxed, and then I was called. I was under the management of Nati Muzo as the PR. Then he called me and said, there's this opportunity come. So I went. It was myself, Andy Sambanza. She's a friend of mine from Free State. You know her. She used to be on Joyous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then a friend of mine in Junju. Well, we became friends on that day. So I went to shoot that Gospel Avenue, and yeah, being on that stage, it was amazing. With Kaya Mteto, like,
come on.
it was so beautiful, and it was a very precious moment for me, very humbling to say, God, what are you doing, Mara? Like putting me on stages that I never even anticipated that I will ever be in. So it was a great moment for me. It was so awesome.
So who have you shared a stage with, or who would you like to share a stage with?
Well, after releasing my first album, I went and sang at Makufe Gospel Festival, main gospel, where there was your Tina Zungu, your Sipongwenya, your Benjamin Dube, all these big artists, your Dr. Dumi, they were there. So, well, I was a bit shaking, because I remember I was supposed to sing before them. After Keke Pofolo sang, I was supposed to sing. And then there was just a drastic change. They said, no, Helen, she will sing after whom. She will sing, no, you are next. But they kept on shifting me. And I remember after Tina Zungu sang, and the dome was on another wave, like, and then they said, let's welcome Helen up on stage. I was like, oh my God. So I went there. Hey, yeah, I sang, you know. I remember I was encouraged by people who were next to me saying, girl, you can do this. Take a deep breath, because I was very anxious now to say, what am I going to do? So I sang. I remember there was this other guy who even made he wrote something like a blog about me, and then he was like, oh, such a new girl, young, naive, there she came and she sang this, and you know, and I remember when I sang Kilela Leta, that was the moment. Like the whole dome, people were on their feet, people were crazy,
people were
shiny dress, and you know, it's that Postula song on my album. That's the one that made me, especially in the Free State Northwest, when you talk Gilela, let's then the beat. Wait a minute. So yeah, it was crazy, but it was beautiful. And then that's when now I relaxed. I remember the MEC of Sports Arts and Culture, Miss Matabolieto. She went like, love you girl, because she was the one who fought for me to be on that stage, on that platform, because she attended my recording and she was like, yes, we will say you are a newcomer, but we need this talent, we need this kind of music at the main gospel festival of Makufe.
Your stories have grace in it.
Nothing but grace. Hence I'm saying grace kept me, girl.
Look, even if it was not about the album, I think I'd still say this because yeah,
indeed, I've seen God's grace and mercy. And you know, if you were raised in a Christian family whereby you were taught nothing but prayer, because every time I've been going through things and I will cry on my father and he will say, so that is how I'm raised.
And you get used to that.
And I get used to that, to say everything that is happening, be it good, be it difficult, I go down on my knees. Be in good time, I go down on my knees and praise him and say, Lord, I thank you for taking me from this level to that level.
And this takes me to something that I can say, Hori. I think the best thing that you can give to your kid is prayer life. Like, it's a prayer
life. That's the only thing. That's the only thing. I remember the other time my son would cry and say, Mommy, I say one person, they're at the corner. Like, you would say, go and pee. Like, I'm sitting here and the toilet is just around the corner. If you talk, he will say, Mommy, shh. And if I speak, he will come running, peeing on the floor. And then I asked him why. He said, there's a man standing there. And then I started to do dangerous prayers.
Lebo.
I opened the windows of the townhouse where I was staying in Klerksdorp. And then I said, whoever sent you, you are going back. Whoever sent you, you are going back, and I will make those dangerous prayers. I was praying like a mad person. I remember the lady from next door came to me and say, I thought you were an old woman. How can a young person pray the way you are praying? I said, Mama, I don't smile with the devil. When it comes to my child, give
me a hand, man. We can talk for like, I'm sorry.
So like,
we can talk for
and now he knows that prayer is the only thing. If I'm home, I'm not at work, when he goes to work, to school, I pray with him. If I'm not there, he knows he must pray. At night, he will leave us and say good night at 7 o'clock. Everybody's still seated watching soapies. He's going to sleep. He knows 7 o'clock I must sleep. You will hear him praying. Nobody has to remind him that, hey boy, you must pray.
Yeah. And then let's talk about work and everything. What keeps you competent? And how would you define competency?
Well, I nearly said something, but let me not say it. It's a vulgar. Well, I know my story at work. I remember when I came where I'm working now in Polokwane, one doctor said to me, if you do your job, you and me won't fight. But if you miss something, we're going to fight. And the other day he came, being a midwife, people, yes, they do have their guyness, but sometimes they are hooked up somewhere. They are unable to arrive before the baby comes. Remember, delivery, labor, it will take its course anytime. So I remember I delivered that lady, and then I've cut an episiotomy and I managed to suture it, and it was very beautiful. And that doctor, when he came, he went like, oh wow, yeah, you sutured it very well. And he started to like me. So every time when he's having a patient in labor, he would be very chilled, very content. Even if I can suggest something that, no doctor, let's not do that, let's do this. And I remember the other day he was saying, I said that to me, and I just laughed, and he left. And because I know my story.
Sure.
Being a midwife, I would also say I'm called for it, because remember, you're dealing with two lives, dealing with the wife of the unborn child and the life of the mother.
Yeah.
So you need to know what you're doing. If there's anything that is not going in accordance,
and I think
we are the ones to tell the gynae that, hey, I'm preparing for Caesar.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to interject you. I think this really shows how sacred pregnancy can become.
Yeah.
2 lives at a time.
2 lives at a time. So you need to know your story. You need to remember that mother is trusting you with her life, and that you are going to give her a bouncing baby.
So sacred.
So yeah.
So sacred. And then what keeps you going? What you say to go? Quote, scripture, saying?
My very favorite scripture, Habakkuk.
Mamurut.
No, I'm not a Mamurut. Habakkuk, where it says that though the vision may tarry.
Oh!
It may tarry. It may, remember
it's
saying
more like they're
that
preparing you for it may tarry, like though it tarries.
Though it tarries.
Come on.
But do not lose heart.
Come on.
Do not lose hope. Because it will happen. And remember, Jesus said, at the right time, I, the Lord, will make it happen. So if it's not the right time, God won't make it happen.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we rush for things that they might kill us. You may say you want riches that tomorrow you can die because of those riches.
Yeah.
So the vision may tarry, but we don't give in. We don't throw in a towel. We don't lose hope. Yeah. Because definitely it shall happen.
Yeah.
So allow the process.
Allow the process. When the time is right, it will happen. And I remember having this other revelation when it comes to like delay and denial or delay. Like I feel like there is no such thing as delay, because when God says at the right time, it's more like we are being impatient somehow. Hence we call it a delay. But guys, whenever it comes, it was not delayed. It was the perfect time for it to happen. You know, that's okay. And then what's the greatest thing about being a mom?
Oh, like your child could just say mama. You know, that thing that you just say Kilo, and he responds mama.
Mama.
Yeah, this is the best thing ever. Best thing ever. And I remember when I was pregnant, things used to happen, like whereby I was told you need to terminate, you are sensitive. That's when I named my son Tlulo.
Yeah.
He was still inside the utero. And I said, oh, ke Tlulo ya mama, haona moya. I will conquer. Because I was just so always weak, vomiting non-stop until I gave birth. But I conquered.
Sure.
And came Mpo, same thing happened. And this one, it was even worse. I remember my gynae, Dr. Tlengani. And then like he was like, oh Helen, we don't know what to do. We have reached the ceiling top. We don't know what to do anymore. We gave you this. We tried that. We tried that. I kept vomiting. But I said, this is my gift. God protect this gift.
And then I'm gonna go for the last but not least. If you were 18, okay, what would you say to the 18-year version of you? I mean, being 18 comes with a lot of things, your career, your dating, a lot of stuff. Like, what would you say to them?
Well, with me, I grew up in a very strict house. You would go only to the shop and come back. You are not allowed to go to the shop and you play with other kids. You run around, you get whipped. So I thought at first that my father was very strict, my father was this, my father was that, but it kept me going. I remember going to varsity. That's when now I started to say, now I'm going to explore and what. But still, getting a bursary and knowing where you come from. Coming from an environment where the poor will call you poor.
I'm enjoying this rain actually.
You understand? So that is where like the main thing that kept me focused, because I knew that I'm from this kind of a background. I cannot any plan B. This is my only plan A and plan B. I have to make sure that I finish record time 4 years. I pass, I don't fail, because when you fail, bursary is freezed. So who's going to pay for your fees?
Yeah.
Who's going to buy you food?
Who's gonna take care of you?
I saw that it was just going to be disaster.
Yeah.
So I had to focus based on where I come from, my family background.
Yeah. And as our midwife, okay, I want to shift to mental awareness. Like, you know, there's a lot of everything that we do, sometimes you just break. You just feel like, okay, I've had it, now I'm okay.
I can't anymore.
Yeah. So how do we tackle that? How do we try to envelope ourselves with care?
Firstly, I would say a parent needs to know, as a parent, you need to know your kids. You need to see, you need to be the first to see when your child is not okay. because we can say they have friends and whatnot. Friends can even lead them astray, because a friend can say, no, my friend, you know what, maybe try this, get a boyfriend, get a blesser, because you don't have money, you're struggling and all that. You understand? But as a mother, if you know your child, and as a black community, let me put it like this, we need to make sure that as parents, we allow our kids that space in us. Do not always, when a child say, "Mama, no," because we start, hey, we understand, and we feel I rather revert to my friends, or I rather revert to people out there. And then imagine a girl child, if I reverted to a male figure, what happens? Now they take what? Advantage. Not all of them. Some will be genuine, but some they will see an opportunity, or so we need to have mental awareness during the mental awareness month. We need to know about these things. Or actually, when we're talking mental awareness, what are we talking about? We have a bipolar. I can be sitting here looking this stunning and being a bipolar. Bipolar is not someone who will say, no. A bipolar is that person who just having that, like, emotions, suddenly you know, like, we need to know these things. And we have psychiatric mental users. People those people those kind. So those are the ones that need serenades and all that. But a person who is a bipolar, sometimes they just get those hormones to help balance their brain to be in equilibrium. So we just need to know these things and be able to live with people who are mental health care users.
This takes us to our last question. I've had so much fun, and I feel like I wish we can continue for like hours, but appointments, schedules, tough. So fellow words for fellow Africans, like, what are you leaving us with right now?
Well, we are living in a very difficult time now.
Sure.
Looking at our currency, looking at like everything that is happening. We had COVID, and then people's businesses, others were closed, others they managed to pick up, now they are still trying, but others they are closed for good. So I would say, as young people, try to make something with your hands. Do not sit and say, I'm waiting for president to come and give me 350. While you are waiting for that 350, what is it that you're doing with your own hands? We are given hands, we are given brains. You can look at me and say, she's well off, she's getting a salary, she goes and sing and she's paid. I sell eggs, I sell archer. You know, if somebody can say, come and do my makeup, that 500 rand, it goes a long way.
You won't get it anywhere, please.
I run like I'm running for a 5K, sweetie.
You won't pick it up.
So that's one thing about our young people, or our people in South Africa. We want everything to be like, we want everything to be served on a silver platter. We don't want to work with our own hands and do something and produce something. I mean, you can start a garden and have potatoes, tomatoes, carrots, and what. Did you see the price of a tomato?
Yeah.
Small packet like this, we're talking 40 bucks.
Inflation vibes.
So the minute we start doing things with our own hands, we will be able to treasure even the 350 that we are getting from the government. You can take that 350 and say, okay, with this 350, I can take 150 and start something. Or buy a small flour, make some fat cakes, go and sell during break times, where you understand. So it's high time that we need to use our brains and our hands to put food on the table for our kids. Nobody's going to come up with manna from heaven and say, feed your kids.
Yeah. Nah. And I want to hug you for this. This is so powerful. This is so powerful.
Thank you, sweetie.
This is so powerful. Thank you, guys. It takes us to our last moment, and thank you for tuning in. Please tell your friends to tell the other friends to watch and subscribe, and see you on episode 12. Say bye to my viewers.
Bye.